This is Buddy Buchanan with the Leader Times bringing you today's news. Independence Day 2017. From America's beginning to the present, men and women have fought to preserve freedom for everyone. Many of the soldiers returned from war, though only to face another battle in their own mind. Dr. Leslie Bissell, director of the Southwest Guidance Center, said, though many people think of post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, as something dealt with only by those in the military, there are others who battle the condition as well. She said, as a community mental health center, SWGC handles a smaller number of military PTSD cases than with other people simply because veterans will typically use a service such as a VA hospital for treatment. Bissell said there are many other reasons people may have PTSD. Other folks who may also be diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder might be individuals who are victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, she said. Children who were abused when they were younger might also have a post-traumatic stress disorder diagnosis. They have a car accident or they have something like that could also qualify someone for a post-traumatic stress diagnosis. Bissell said as a condition, PTSD is within the same continuum as anxiety disorders. Bissell said anxiety is the most common type of mental illness, with depression a close second. She said often the two go hand in hand, and many times people with PTSD will request treatment for depression. Depression and suicidal thoughts are likewise part of many PTSD cases. For military personnel, readjusting to civilian life can prove difficult by itself, but Bissell said PTSD can make that experience even harder. She added not feeling connected to a family or culture is more likely to lead men to suicide in these cases. We know that's in part because they choose more lethal means than women typically do, she said. We also know that women who've been in the military as well, the number of completed suicides with that specific population is also on the rise as well. It's not just a gender thing. Simply being sensitive to what makes a person feel safe is something everyone can do to help those with PTSD. The best way to know what that is to ask them, Bissell said. Some people might feel safer around other people. Other people might feel safer being alone by themselves. Being sensitive to sounds, especially as we're coming into the 4th of July holiday, and fireworks, and those kinds of things. The first step for mental health professionals such as those at SWGC is an evaluation to find the level of symptoms a person is dealing with. With some people, it's more of a sleep issue, Bissell said. Other people, it's more of a flashback issue, a relationship issue. Based on that, we might recommend medication management, which we're able to do here, which can help take the edge off of that hypervigilance, helping the person get sleep. We know just being able to sleep better improves your mental health. For those who cope with substances, Bissell said finding other ways for them to cope is another way to help recovery. As a field of mental health treatment, Bissell said research on trauma and how it impacts the brain is showing great progress. If you have a young man who was physically abused as a child, how his brain developed is going to be different than maybe another boy who didn't have that experience, she said. You put both of them into the military setting, and just how their brains are wired are going to be different due to the exposure of trauma. Then you have the additional trauma of deployment and whatever else they experience. So often, what becomes a challenge is how do we actually help the brain reformat itself so that person isn't always on hyperarousal. Bissell said every person, their temperaments, and their history is different, and just being aware of the impact of trauma has helped the field of PTSD tremendously. I think that awareness is helping all of us do a better job and have the better outcomes that we're all looking for, she said. This is Buddy Buchanan with the Leader in Times. God bless, and thanks for watching.